your flesh and blood.
Welcome to Tell Me Your Story, new paradigms for a new world where we're giving you choices and knowledge of those choices to help make your dreams come true. We are here 9 times a week, Sundays at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., Monday mornings at 1 a.m., Wednesdays at 9 a.m., and Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 a.m., streaming live at all those times at richarddugan.com. We are on SoundCloud, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, Stitcher, Player FM, as well as YouTube, where you can watch these conversations. I hope that you will take time to subscribe and click notifications so that when a new conversation is posted, you'll be notified and you'll be able to tune in, listen in, and learn, be entertained and inspired. A reminder that Choices, which is my book, 5 Steps for Life, it's available on Amazon.com in paperback, hardcover, and Kindle with Audible, soon to be released. We also ask that if you can support the work that we are doing financially, we do have a PayPal account. It is there for your security as well as ours. And when they ask for an email address to whom you're sending, please go to richard@richarddugan.com. That's the email address. If you go to richarddugan.com, there is also a link directly to PayPal so that you can send us whatever support you can. And we thank you to those who have helped and to those who will help. We also ask that you take time during this decade of perfect vision, the 2020s, to go within to that quiet, peaceful, calm, still place and listen to that still, small voice. And with that, we now take you to our very special interview and guest here on Tell Me Your Story. I would like to welcome you to Tell Me Your Story. This is my 66th anniversary program. That means that I've been around the sun 66 times, heading around for the 67th, and hopefully not the final time. Nonetheless, thank you so much for joining me. This program is one that I haven't done in a long time, where it's just me talking with you and talking to you, sharing with you my thoughts and ideas, my hopes and dreams and prayers, and just all kinds of different things. I appreciate the fact that you do tune in. I hope that you have an opportunity to subscribe and, of course, click the subscribe button and the notification button. And again, I appreciate the fact that you are there. I try to do this thinking that you are. As I was taught early on in my career, you want to think about it from the standpoint that you're speaking with one person. So I'm talking to you. I'm sharing with you. On this particular program, on this day, which again, I can't tell you how much I appreciate being able to do this, I've been working on a new song. And of course, the first song that I ever wrote was back in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. I'm trying to remember the exact period of time it was. I finally found the lyrics to that song. And then 6 years ago, almost to the month, I worked with Emily Yurchison, who has a wonderful program called Odyssey of Song. It's a book that it's sort of a 12-step process that takes you through to writing your song, and in this case, writing my song. And she helped me to write the song, I'm a Good Man Doing the Best I Can. Well, I was sitting outside one morning thinking about another song, writing another song, and trying to figure out, okay, from what perspective am I going to come from? And then it dawned on me that the song would be one that would be for the past 12 or 13 months since this particular portion of my wife's and my book, if you will, or chapter of our book, was written. It started back on the 5th of June, when we laid to rest our dear, dear friend Angus, a big black king shepherd who is the most loving, protecting dog. And he just reached the point where he was kind of checking out mentally, if you will, not knowing where he was. He actually would snap at us because he was just uncomfortable. And finally, we said, he's ready to go. He wants to go. And so we let him go. And in order to sort of work through that, we decided that on that Sunday we would take a drive. And we drove up the coast. I can't remember how far up we went. I think it was up to a place called Dinosaur Park, up along the coast near Oceana and Pismo and Napomo. And we parked for a little while that morning, and then we headed back. And the next thing you know, when we pull up, there's this paper that's taped to the front frame of the door of the cottage we were renting. And it was ostensibly an eviction notice telling us that they're terminating our tenancy because they don't want to be landlords anymore. They want to clean the place up, fix it up, etc., and then they want to sell the property. And it's their property. They can do with it what they will, but it certainly put us in a tailspin, considering what we had just been through 2 days earlier. And for the next 4.5 months, we began the process of packing, and we began the process of looking for a new place to live. And that's what we told the universe. We said, we need a place to live. We didn't say we need a place to rent, we need a place to buy, we need a place to live. And we left it up to the universe, but of course we did the legwork, and the process continued. We were nearly scammed twice. Thank you very much, people out there who think it's cute to play with people like this. People are hurting, people are struggling, people are having difficulties, and what do? You are out there trying to take advantage, unfair advantage. So, come on, get with the program. Grow up, put your big boy pants, your big girl pants on, and knock it off and do something that's creative and constructive. Enough of that. So anyway, I was thinking about all of that and the process we went through to moving in here to our new home in October of last year, and then, of course, to where we are today. So I will read you the poem, if you will, and it goes, in the shadow of a goodbye, we drove along the coast. Angus in the rear view, but love held us close. A door sealed with questions, a road we couldn't see, but step by step, we found our way to be free. We crossed every river, we climbed every hill, faith in the future, though time stood still. Your hand in mine, we carried the weight, learning each day, we welcomed our fate. What is so, this gift in time, a house to call a home, a love that's still mine. From storms we wandered, but here we stand tall. I'm a good man doing the best I can after all. We lay down new foundations, brick by brick, hand in hand, building tomorrow from the lessons we learned. On this mountain we now stand. The wind whispers gently, calling us to grow. With every step forward, love is all we know. For us, it's very meaningful, certainly. And once again, always trying to find ways to express how we feel, where we are, who we are, both as individuals as well as a couple. And I highly recommend getting in touch with Emily. She was very instrumental, not only in the first song that she helped me to write, but also in thinking about subsequent songs. When you think about writing your own song, it's writing your own song in that particular moment, at that particular time. And so, like I said, I hope that, this is helpful. I just wanted to also share with you some other thoughts that I had in regards to this idea, in regards to the process that we all go through. And I'm going to share some stuff here with you that is very interesting. As I said before, this is a very special edition of Tell Me Your Story here on this day at this time. It's the 26th of June, and I'm celebrating my birthday, and it's no ordinary day. I'm stepping into a profound moment of synchronicity on this 26th day of the 26th year of my life's journey. I'm turning 66, or completing that 66th year, and so today we align with the power of the number 6, those repeating patterns that guide us, shape us, and invite us to harmonize with life's rhythm. Join me as we explore 10 insights that this number has brought me, and how it can invite us all into deeper alignment. So I hope that you will join me as we continue here on Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World, where we're giving you choices and knowledge of those choices to help make your dreams come true. And I hope that you will stay with me here on the program. Welcome back to Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World. I'm Rev Dr D, your host, and I hope that you're enjoying the opportunity to hear a little bit more. I know that in many of the interviews that I have done, most of them, I have shared my life and times, if you will, as well as that of my wife's. I try not to tell too much of her story because that's up to her to share. But I want to share with you a few things that I have learned over the years, especially over the last 6 years. There was a lot of upheaval and turmoil back in 2020, obviously with the lockdown and COVID, or the coronavirus, and so on and so forth. And I was diagnosed in the summer of that year with type 2 diabetes, which I beat, so to speak, in about 6 weeks. I got my numbers down to normal without having to take more medications. I would stop taking them. And then in 2024, the spring, April, my numbers went up, and I couldn't understand why. And then I figured out, it's the stress, because all kinds of things were happening. And I've gone through this world and this life in this process, trying to learn as much as I can, of course, about myself, about other people, through learning about myself, why I am the way that I am. Maybe some of that has to do with my childhood. Maybe some of that has to do with some of the people that I've met along the way, my career, the opportunities that I've taken advantage of, and maybe some of the opportunities that I missed, or I just said, I don't want to go that way. And even if I go back, when I take a look at some of the connections to this number 6, because as I have been saying now, this month in particular, with this being my birthday and all of that, 6s are wild. I'm 66, or, I've finished 66 years, if you will, beginning 67, starting tomorrow. Back in March, on the 6th of 1996, I had a lens implant. There's 6s all over again. And going through this process of kind of taking a look at that. Just curious from your perspective, if you've ever done that. Have you ever taken a look at and evaluated the process? The numbers, numerology is something we're talking about as well, in terms of the power of 6. It's having to do with balance and harmony and service, and how these all resonate together. I prefer balance. Yes, there are the ups and downs, the highs and the lows of life just in general. But at the same time, it's possible to still be in harmony, to still be who I am, be genuine, if you will, and at the same time, still have those highs and lows. And the other part of my life that has been so is, of course, about this process or this aspect of service, being of service to others. But at the same time, I don't want to lose myself in that process. And it's easy to do because you become in service to others. And that's what runs your life. Oh, I'm going to serve. I know that my boss and friend that I've known for 20 years now, that was the key phrase around the radio station. We're here to serve. We're here to serve. We're here to serve. Well, yes, we are. That is what my faiths and my beliefs speak to, being of service. But we also need to serve ourselves. I need to serve myself, not in a selfish way, in a small s service way. Taking care of the things that I need to take care of for me, taking care of my health, taking care of my mental, physical, emotional, as well as spiritual self. It's what we talk about on this program, and it's all about choices, which, without being overly self-promoting, not that there's anything wrong with that, but that's what this life is all about, is choices. We make choices all the time, but sometimes we don't think about them. We don't put them into context, and we don't take responsibility. We think that for whatever reason, that we're puppets on a string being manipulated by forces we don't understand. Well, maybe we don't understand the forces that are out there, but we have to take responsibility for whatever choices we make, whatever they're based on. It's not always easy either. I think about the fact that I've been through a divorce. Not fun. It wasn't easy. I don't like trauma and drama. I've shared that before too. I'm not a fan of watching movies or television programs that are of that genre, murder and mayhem and chaos and so forth. Even though, yes, that is part of the makeup of the universe. When you look around, it's chaotic at times. But at the same time, staying focused, trying to stay balanced, recognizing that, yes, in this material world, man has been inhumane to man since the beginning of the species, whenever that was, however that happened. And I don't need to be reminded of that over and over again. It's like you can kind of feel it in the air. But at the same time, you can also feel in the air, if you will, the kindness, the compassion, the empathy, the love, the concern, the support that others have for one another. And that's where we want to try to focus. Also want to take a look at repeating patterns. I've talked about how nature is our greatest teacher. Well, we can see these repeating patterns in what is called the Fibonacci sequence, but also in a wonderful little large poster that I have of a fractal, even from snowflakes to coastlines that show us that life itself is a pattern. It's endless, repeating, endlessly evolving. It's often been taught to us in school when we take a look at the solar system and we see the planets spinning around the sun, that it looks like it's a circle going round and round and round and round. It's not. It's actually a spiral. As we orbit the sun is moving. And so we are moving. And even as the sun is moving in this arm of the galaxy we call the Milky Way, the galaxy is moving through space. So there is an evolutionary process there. It's not stagnant. We can kind of see stagnation in life when we become sedentary, when we stop moving around. I was going to do this program live, but I decided that I would go ahead and put this down and make it available in this fashion because I wanted to have an opportunity to get out of the house while this program airs and breathe in the fresh pine air and feel the sun on my face or my head or what have you, and be in motion and movement. And we all need to be doing that. There's also a process of the spiritual journey that I have talked about over and over and over again. And I really hope that you all are seeking out your own spiritual journey in this cycle. I want to share with you a little bit about my spiritual path and how it has mirrored these cycles, like as I said before, a spiral, always returning but evolving. So in other words, I go around the sun 66 times, but not in the same space and place. In space and time. I feel very young inside. I feel an exuberance of life. I've often said that I feel like I'm 17, but my body reminds me, you may feel like you're 17 inside, but your body isn't. So you need to be cautious in that regard. It doesn't mean there aren't certain things you can't do, but you might want to consider not doing them or modifying it so that you maintain a good, healthy body. Case in point, I was working on our bicycles that we actually brought with us. And the only place we can really ride them is like on the path around the lake that we're near, Lake Gregory, because where we live is very hilly. And when I got the tires aired up, I got on the bicycle out on the road, and I have to tell you, they say that, it's just like riding a bike. You never forget how. Well, that is true, but it took me a little while to figure out the whole balancing thing all over again. And fortunately, I didn't fall over anything, didn't hurt myself, but I did experience that newness of bicycling and so forth. That's the way it is in our lives, both physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, that sometimes we haven't done something for a long, long time. And now it's time to do it again, only we're different, we're new, we're changed again, we have evolved. I mean, the physical body, you can't stop the physical body from evolving. It continues to grow. My mother told me something I was totally unaware of, that as we get older, especially in the age range that both myself and my siblings as well as my mother are, she says that even though we might get shorter, my father kind of did that. He got a little shorter than the rest of us as he got older into his 90s. She says, but the funny thing is your feet, they get a little bigger. Well, after walking on them for 30, 40, 50, 60, up into 90 years, I guess they kind of flatten out. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of, is that after so many years of use, they spread a little bit, and that's just what happens. And so your feet don't fit into the shoes that you used to wear like they used to. So you got to get another half size larger maybe, or a wider type of shoe. Well, that's the body. The mind is the same way. As we read things, as we experience life, as we go through formal and informal education, the school of hard knocks, if you will, we expand our horizons and our perspectives. I talk about that as well. When you're looking at an event, go around the circle of that event and take in the different perspectives and process it that way. Emotions are also the same way. The song that I shared with you, I was assisted, believe it or not, by AI. I told AI the story of the last 13 months. And it put together the song that I made some modifications to, and then I had it read it to me. From the very first line, I started to cry because it reminded me of what we had been through back in June of 2025. In June, I used to say, 2025 is going to be the year of hell, something along those lines. But as I moved through July and August and into September, and then we moved into October and moved into our new home, I began to realize, that 2025 was not the year from hell. It was just a year that had events that were happening. But in hearing that song and the tears that came to my eyes, remembering what my wife and I went through and the struggles, especially that she went through with her health, it touched me. I was actually amazed. I was stunned that I was crying. And at the same time realizing, I hadn't cried in a long, long time. Matter of fact, not since we moved. And actually, since the whole journey began, because I felt I needed to stay strong for her, for us, this process. But there are times when we need those emotions. We need to go through them. And I've sort of been denying myself that particular aspect. So I just wanted to share that with you. Also, I know that there are a lot of different events that took place on this date down through history. The significance of June 26th, and thinking about the various people and events that have taken place on this very date that are tied to this date, and what it means to myself, my family, my faith, my community. I remember a few years back, a gentleman by the name of David Ciordia, he gave me a wonderful gift, almost chokes me up to think about. I was producing a program called the Golf Radio Show. And he and other people would come in talking about the tournament that just took place the previous weekend. And then we talked about golf and all of the different attributes and aspects of it and some of the books that had been written and so forth. And on my birthday, and I'm guessing that it was like maybe my 50th or 55th birthday, he took me out to a local golf course there in Santa Barbara. I think it was Sandpiper. Yeah, Sandpiper, right along the coast. Oh my gosh. In spite of the fact that the grass was basically brown or yellow, it was still beautiful because you were right there along the coast. I love being by the ocean. But he took me to the driving range, or the practice range, if you will. And he put down on the ground this pyramid of golf balls. But he says, here's a golf club. And what I want you to do, it's a driver. I want you to step back away from that pyramid of golf balls. And I want you to practice swing. And I'm going to give you some instructions on how to do it. And he did. And I swung away 10, 15, 20, 30 times. And then finally he says, okay, take a ball off the top, put it down on the ground. Now, I don't want you to hit it. I want you to stay back away from it, but I want you to continue to practice. So another 10 or 15 or 20 practice swings. He says, okay, now move forward, and I don't want you to hit it just yet, but I want you to swing back and then come forward at stop. And then eventually he allowed me to swing away. He says, okay, now I want you to step up, same swing, same stance, and so forth. So I addressed the ball, hello ball, and I prepared. And I reared back and I swung at that ball, and it went a mile. And he said from the golf cart that he was sitting in, he says, expletive, we're done. Now, he was joking because he let me hit a few more balls, but he said, basically it was, you hit that ball so well and so far, what more practice do you need? It was a wonderful experience. I loved that. Another one where it goes back to when I was 21. Now, at the age of 21, most men, or as they're coming into manhood, their hormones are raging. And the radio station that I was working at then, Sun Sounds Radio Reading Service, which I've mentioned many, many times, had a lot of beautiful women working there, reading newspapers and magazines and books and working behind the scenes. And there was this one gal, her name was Sally Conrad. I often wonder what happened to some of these folks. Anyway, I was infatuated, to say the least, as a 21-year-old young man. And so for my birthday, we were in our brand new facilities over on East Roosevelt Street in Phoenix. And they had me come out of the control room and come out into the lobby, this beautiful lobby that had been built. And I was given this one large box, and I opened it up, and inside the package, it was a model of the USS Constitution. Now, it was a model that I could build. And I thought, oh, this is beautiful. I'm going to do this up really well. It was given to me by Ed and Jan Hanlon. He has since passed away as well. He had a beautiful Labrador guide dog named Miz. And then they had this huge box. I mean, this was a big box. You could have put a dishwasher in it or the small refrigerator, what have you. One of those big ones, right? And they said, okay, now we want you to open this one. But you have to lift it. And I thought, well, boy, this is quite a gift. Wow. And so I lifted it. And you probably guessed, under that box or in that box, dressed in a cute little outfit, was Sally Conrad. I didn't get to keep her. They were toying with my hormones, if you will. But it was a very special birthday. I'll share one other before I take another pause here. My first wife, she bought me tickets for the two of us to go see Dan Fogelberg in concert at the Sun Dome. What a wonderful, wonderful experience. One of my favorite artists I've mentioned many times. I even mentioned him in my song, I'm a Good Man, Doing the Best I Can. I even tried to sing along softly, and I kept getting shushed by people around me. So apparently I was singing a little too loud. Whereas in most concerts, you usually get to sing along with your favorite artist. But nonetheless, it was still a wonderful, wonderful gift that she gave. And I'm very grateful for that. Reminder that you are listening to Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World. We are giving you choices and knowledge of those choices to help make your dreams come true. And we are going to continue our conversation, or I should say my dissertation, so to speak. I'd love the opportunity to defend my thesis, so to speak, get my PhD in eclectic studies, as I've mentioned often. But I hope that you will stay with me to continue this here on Tell Me Your Story. Welcome back to Tell Me Your Story. I am Rev Dr D Richard Dugan, and I'm very grateful that you have joined me here on this program on my birthday here on the 26th of June, talking about the different aspects of six, because sixes are wild this month for me, and it's kind of interesting to reminisce a little bit. We're talking about 10 different aspects therein, and I want to talk a little bit about aligning with divine timing, and talking about the moments when I felt divinely guided, and how this 6-year cycle is a reminder of trust. I've shared the story of bicycling across the farm fields to the radio station transmitter back in Phoenix back in the 80s, and how I got the prompting from that still small voice inside, my friend, that I needed to turn and go this way or that way, and of course eventually realized that the whole process was about trust. Do I trust the guidance? And of course, with what has happened in the past 12 months or 13 months, if you will, it has been a process of trust. Not without its frustrations, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, it was like, even with the frustrations, there was this undercurrent of, yeah, we're doing the right thing. We're going in the right direction. We're being guided. And that is something that is so vitally important, in my opinion, in my perspective, with this process. And to add to that, this process of being grateful and reflecting on not only how, using one of the other elements previously of service, how I have served others, and in terms of my calling, and how that has evolved to the point where I want to do what I'm doing here now with you full time. And I'm looking for those outlets. I'm looking for those places that I can place this program, place this output, and also find, shall we say, some support, investors, sponsors, etc., that can help me to move into that space. And at the same time, being grateful for how I have been served by you. And how I've been supported by you. I'm grateful that you're there. And I'm grateful that you've been listening. I get an occasional email, and I've even gotten a few texts or text messages via Facebook and that kind of thing, or even on SoundCloud as well as YouTube, commenting on the interviews. The majority of them, of course, have been very complimentary, not only of myself, but also of my guest, and how much they appreciate the conversation and the depth of the conversation. So thank you for all that you have done and all that you will do in the future as we serve together to make this world a better place. There's also the aspect of balancing all of these different elements, from the material to the spiritual, and talking about some of the milestones, like a birthday, and how they can be spiritual signposts. I will be honest with you and tell you that I struggled, even as I sat down to put this together, whether I should just go ahead and take one of the interviews that I've already done and just go ahead and put that in for today. And I decided, no, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put it together. I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to go through these different elements. And I'm glad that I did. It's not quite the same as when I would do a solo program walking along the beach. That I will be honest with you, I do miss. It's not out of the realms of possibility. I was going to walk along the roadways, but then of course you have other people walking by and the cars that might go by and those kinds of distractions, if you will. So I'm sitting here in my studio sharing all of this with you, and I'm very grateful. There have been a lot of milestones, some that have not been quite so pleasant, but nonetheless, they are milestones. 3 of them, aside from the last 13 months. One, of course, was the passing on, the transformation of my eldest sister. And then a year later, that same process for my father. And of course, the having to send on her way and his way my dog Makushla, and then Angus. And those have been experiences that have been hard, but at the same time, as I've often said to others, if you're going to have a pet in your life, that's the price of admission, if you will. You know what I mean? That's the price of admission. And it's a short process, but it's a extremely profound. One that just flashed into my mind, another milestone, goes back to the 80s. And my first wife's guide dog, Yora, black Labrador. And we went out for a walk in our neighborhood where we lived in a trailer. And we were walking past this one yard that was fenced. And all of a sudden, these two pit bulls came racing around the corner. And one of them latched onto her throat, and the other one latched onto her shoulder. And I tried everything I could. I was on my hands and knees, pounding on them. And finally, I was able to find something to pry them off. And someone came along and got a garden hose, and they finally ran off. And fortunately, she was not as seriously damaged as we first thought. What happened with the dog, the pit bull that grabbed her around the throat, they only grabbed the flesh, the skin, because it was so flabby around the neck. And the shoulder was not badly damaged at all. In any event, I picked Yora up, and somebody came along with a pickup truck, and I picked her up, and I got in the back with her, and we drove up to the vet's that was just literally up the street, and they took her in. And when we got her back a few days later, it was as if it never happened. Now, there are those who say, how could you do that? You could have been bitten too. And I said, well, yeah, but it was the dog that I was more concerned about. And so that's one of those moments that has changed me. And I have been a lover of animals for years. Didn't really have a dog as a pet when I was growing up. We had hamsters and gerbils, and my sister had a parakeet and those kinds of things. And we had a cat that adopted us. She was a calico cat. And by the way, that was her name too. But I'll tell you, there's so much that has changed my life. And now a new beginning has begun. Here we are in our new home, making it feel, oh, so comfortable, so wonderful. And I invite you to reflect on your own patterns and on how numbers speak to your life and the synchronicities that are there. I hope that you will take time to do that as we continue here on Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World, where we are giving you choices and knowledge of those choices to help make your dreams come true. And I hope that you will stay here with me as we continue here on Tell Me Your Story. Well, this is the last segment of Tell Me Your Story for this 26th day of June, 2026. And as we close today's special program, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for being with me on this journey. The number 6 has been a guide, a reminder, and a symbol of balance and harmony. And I invite you to take that energy with you. As you know, this program has been a labor of love for, believe it or not, nearly 20 years. It'll be 20 years next September. And I'd invite you, I've invited guests to support, and now I humbly ask you, my cherished listeners and viewers, if you feel called, consider offering a small donation or a recurring contribution, and every bit helps keep this space alive so we can continue exploring these patterns, these stories, and these synchronicities together. And I'm deeply grateful, and I can't wait to see where these next 66 steps lead us. I am forever in your debt because you are there listening and watching. And I do encourage you to listen to the podcasts. I will give you the old standard outro, if you will, that you're listening to Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World, giving you choices and knowledge of those choices to help make your dreams come true, just as the choices I've made in my life have helped to make my dreams come true. Not just for me, but even for me and my family. My family is my wife and our 3 cats, and hopefully soon a new dog a new puppy that we'll bring into the fold. We are here on Sundays at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m., Monday mornings at 1 a.m., Wednesdays at 9 a.m. with Lumari in our special edition, and then Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 a.m., also the 8 a.m. Wednesday program preceding our special edition with Lumari. It's Body of Health with Dennis Henson, and we talk about ways in which you can experience and have a better quality of life, increase your longevity, and we certainly hope that you will tune in for all of those as we stream live at all those times at richarddugan.com with podcasts, of course, on SoundCloud and iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, Stitcher, Player FM, Blueberry, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, as well as YouTube and Rumble. I hope you'll subscribe, as well as I hope that you will click notification. And let's see, what else can I tell you? Could you pick up a copy of Choices, 5 Steps for Life? Could you make that choice? It's available. If you have unlimited Kindle, you may actually have access to it. But it's available at Amazon.com in hardcover, paperback, and Kindle. And I certainly hope that you'll get a copy of the book. It's not about making a bunch of money from the sale of the book. It's about sharing the whole concept of making choices, which is what our lives are all about. And then take some time during this decade of perfect vision to go within to that quiet, peaceful, calm, still place and listen to that still, small voice. And until our next broadcast, podcast, videocast, love to Lal, my wife, Amrita. Jeanette, I'm still listening. Dad, continue to be happy because I am. Mike, thanks for being in my life and letting me be in yours. Michael, my brother, welcome to fatherhood. My best friend, Doug, I'll see you on the other side. And to my dear friend Zorro, aho, aho.